Tonight on CTV News, the first cases of coronavirus in Colorado. Find out how students are dealing with the virus abroad.
Then, how a bill in Colorado could affect student athletes in the state.
And find out where road closures might affect your weekend travels. All this and more on CTV News at 7. We start with breaking news. The first 2 cases of the coronavirus are now here in Colorado. I'm Lauren Orcutt.
And I'm Jen Platero. Governor Jared Polis tweeted at 4 o'clock this afternoon saying, quote, "We are diligently managing the situation."
That's right, Jen. Now, this virus has been affecting CSU students since Saturday when the CSU Education Abroad program sent an email encouraging students studying in Italy to come back to the United States as soon as possible. According to the director of the program, Laura Thorns, quote, "CSU is asking you to make immediate plans to return. With every day, it will be more difficult to change flights, risks of exposures become greater, and further restrictions may be imposed to slow the spread of the virus. Please make arrangements to depart Italy within 1 week of today." We spoke to junior journalism major Nora Anderson, who is currently in Italy and has booked one of those emergency flights home, about how she is coping with having to cut her trip short.
I was very frustrated. I got very, very upset. I might have sent a few strongly worded emails, trying to convince them that this was not the right choice. But after having a few days to process everything, and I've been doing my research on what's happening, I understand the decision, and I know that it's time for me to go home.
So the question is, what's next for these students?
Next, I fly on my emergency flight home on Thursday back to St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm from, and I will be hanging out there, kind of doing a little bit of self-quarantine, just in case. And the university that I'm studying with here, Florence University of the Arts, is offering us a remote online schooling program, so I will be doing online classes.
Well, the Office of International Programs has told us that they are closely monitoring the spread of the virus and keeping up to date with the CDC to decide whether or not they will have students studying abroad in other parts of the world come back to the U.S. as well. After Super Tuesday, we have more results from the election.
That's right, Lauren. Joe Biden won most states across the country, but Bernie Sanders won California and Colorado. Sanders ended up taking a strong lead. He received just over 315,000 votes in Colorado. Joe Biden came in second place across the state, and he got about 215,000 votes across the state.
And here in Larimer County, Sanders also won the majority of votes. He was just shy of 40% of the county votes, totaling just over over 25,000.
The Colorado House of Representatives passed a bill that would allow college athletes in the state of Colorado to make money for their image and likeness. The bill, which is similar to the one in California, passed last year. The bill wouldn't allow governing bodies like the NCAA to punish athletes for getting compensation for their image and likeness. The bill passed the Senate with unanimous votes and is now set to head the Governor Polis' desk for approval. If Polis signs the bill into law, it wouldn't take effect until January 1st, 2023, in order to give the NCAA time to assess the law.
Colorado Senator Michael Bennet will host a town hall meeting in Fort Collins tomorrow morning at the North Side Atzland Community Center on 112 East Willow Drive. The event will begin at 11:30 in the morning and doors will open at 10:30 in the morning.
Election committee officers are ready to go into anticipation of the upcoming election. Also, the Senate discussed 2 bills last night. Joining us tonight is Senate correspondent Kenneth Frederick. Kenneth, what is happening in the Senate?
Thank you, Lauren and Jen. The majority of last night's meeting revolved around the ratification of 10 new elections committee officers. As well, the Senate discussed 2 bills, one of which involving a popular entrepreneurial contest here on our own campus.
The ratification of officers is usually a smooth and quick process, but this time there was a whole lot of debate on who would be the new elections committee officers. Elections manager Connor Cheadle introduced his 10 candidates to help him oversee the coming election. And after a thorough discussion, the Senate voted to accept all officers in one go. Many senators disapproved of this move because they were worried about bias and impartiality.
They did not show any regard for respect for people in here who have different views, so I think that is something that we should go back and remember.
In another big move, the Senate approved funding for a popular event here at CSU. It's the entrepreneurial contest held here at the LSC. But this year, the Senate only had to fund $6,000 compared to last year's $8,000.
The point of this event is to provide the opportunity to our student entrepreneurs to showcase their really hard work and awesome ideas.
The Senate rounded out the night by continuing to discuss a bill that will affect how future senators are removed from office.
Senator Bailey, Senator Delegate, Senator Benitez.
The bill discussed last night just sets up a process for the legislative cabinet to recommend to individual colleges to remove their own senators. As well, the Senate is busy,
Kenneth,
but with the election on the horizons, it's only more likely to get even busier. I'm Kenneth Frederick,
Kenneth,
reporting
what was
live
some of the
for CTV 11
non-election
News.
business at last night's session?
Well, last night, the Senate ratified their new External Affairs Committee chair. And next week, they'll even be ratifying another one for their internal committee.
The city of Fort Collins settled a lawsuit with Natasha Patnode for $325,000 after she was beaten by an off-duty police officer in 2018. The incident took place after Patnode was arrested for suspicion of stealing at the Target on South College. After an internal investigation found that the officer should have been fired, but he ended up leaving the police force anyways. This settlement makes it the second one in less than 1 month that the city has had to settle for excessive police force.
A 20-year-old Loveland man was sentenced yesterday for the fatal shooting of a teen at a party back in 2018. Gabriel Ventura was sentenced to 6 years of community corrections in connection to the killing of 17-year-old Eric Whaley. In Ventura's plea agreement, he was found guilty of manslaughter and had his second-degree murder charge dropped.
A Fort Collins man was arrested for assaulting his roommate and his dog. 35-year-old Aaron LaGuardia was arrested in his home near Old Town after he attacked his roommate with a machete. According to police records, LaGuardia was high on drugs, and at the time of the assault, he didn't manage to injure his roommate, but his dog was killed in the incident. Larimer County officials have charged him with aggravated assault, felony, menacing, burglary, and aggravated cruelty to animals. Fort Collins Police Chief says that using hard drugs can have devastating outcomes if you or someone you know has a substance dependency issue. Help is available in our community.
More development could soon be coming to Fort Collins, this time near Harmony Road and I25. Right now, the area is being looked at development and is currently a natural area, which is why Mayor Wade Troxel and Councilmember Ken Summers voted no because they want to maintain 40% of natural land if the area is to be developed. The plan would still restrict the height of buildings to maintain views for Tinmouth residents, as well as reduce the size of businesses in the area. Well, if you're planning on heading south this weekend, be on the lookout because I-25 is set to completely close just south of US 34 in Loveland.
That's right. North and southbound lanes of the highway will close at 9 in the evening Saturday and reopen around 10 in the morning Sunday, as crews get ready to demolish a bridge just south of the Highway 34. CDOT reminds drivers to pay close attention while driving due to all of the lane shifts on the highway.
Well, you know, I-25 is already a really traffic-heavy interstate, so I know I definitely won't be traveling south this weekend. How about you, Jen?
I definitely won't be either, Lauren. So for those of you who do use the I-25 actively, just be sure to experience those high levels of traffic.
Yep. Well, Krista won't be sitting in traffic jamming out to music because she met a local musician. Krista?
That's right, Lauren. I will introduce to you a very unique local artist. Stick around after the break for more.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? guys.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
What's poppin', Rams? I'm Kristen McAllister, and I'm here to tell you about the spice and entertainment for this week. So let's get started. Some might say that telephone poles are the corded headphones of society. Whether it's because they get in the way or look bad, some people just don't like them. Well, Fort Collins is looking to keep these wires from dangling around. The Fort Collins City Council has allocated $50,000 to the first wireless master plan that aims to help the city in their mission to create wireless telecommunications buildings as well as to make the neighborhoods look better. 2 public open house events will be held on March 9th and March 11th in order to begin planning process. The Aristocats was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I always wanted to walk into a room and see a cat band playing the piano and banging away on those drums. Well, this past weekend, I felt like I was living inside of this movie scene.
Meow. Local musician White Cat Pink has a knack for making people pause to take a second look and listen.
I want people to be blown away. I want people to say, my God, I've lived in Fort Collins my whole life and I've never known that this was up here.
The Tomcat persona first made its debut in 2006 and has since become his iconic trademark and namesake.
I have a strong connection with Siberian shamanism, and the shamanic belief is that part of that is to put on the costume that represents the character of the animal that you're trying to capture.
In addition to creating a unique look, this artist has created what he calls the White Cat Pink sound.
I've self-styled it as a blend of glam, electronica, and krautrock.
Being a full-time musician comes with its challenges, but it is definitely rewarding in the end.
Music was what made me feel alive and connected. If I'm not playing music or listening to music or doing something that's music related, life doesn't seem worth living.
I'm so glad that I know of White Cat Pink because the idea that a drumming cat is right here in Fort Collins makes all of my childhood dreams come true. On a similar note, in an episode of Parks and Recreation, Ron Swanson asks, "Why does anybody in the world ever eat anything but breakfast food?" The Gold Leaf Collective is putting a modern twist on this quote as they are moving their vegan restaurant to the vacant IHOP building on College Avenue. Until the planned opening date of January 2021, the restaurant will be renovating this space so they can better show off their vegan culinary feats. And now it's time for Chris's Catch, where I'll be talking about my favorite catch of the week. For today's edition, I will be reviewing an English pub turned local flavor, the Moot House. I don't think that this restaurant could have been better named. Fun fact, the origin of the word moot comes from the medieval England where it was referring to a gathering of people. This restaurant is definitely a cozy gathering place that resembles a house as it has multiple adjoining dining rooms. And one of my favorite features of this restaurant was the indoor and outdoor fireplaces. Dim lighting helped to set a comfortable ambiance as I settled in to try a customer favorite menu item, the fish and chips basket. I tried the happy hour version of this dish, so it was a smaller portion of the beer battered cod, french fries, and tartar sauce. To start off the food enthusiasm, oh my goodness, these french fries were amazing. Although they seemed thin, they had a lot of potatoey oomph to them. The actual fish was also on par with these chips. The beer battered crust was crispy and light, and it helped to accentuate the flaky cod fish. As with most seafood, I was a little worried that the fish would taste fishy, but it had a really simple and comforting flavor. The tartar sauce, as well as the other sauces served with the dish, really helped to add some of that extra flavor that I was looking for. Based on my experience there, I give the Moot House a 4 out of 5 star rating. I liked the dim lighting, but it was a little dark without some of that natural light coming in, and the crust on the fish started to get a little soggy after sitting on my plate for a little bit, which was not ideal. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this little local outing to another country. Well, Rams, that's all that I've got for you for this week. But stay tuned after the break to hear Allie Small tell you what to expect for your weekend weather.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But, here's the thing. Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like, that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, the commitment, the drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent like me.
Welcome back from break, Rams. I'm your weather anchor, Allie Small, here to bring you the latest conditions. Let's get into it with the current conditions. It is currently 45 degrees, really clear, about a slight breeze, 4 miles per hour, winds, and the sunset took place earlier this evening at 5:56 p.m. I think we all can agree that today was one of the nicest days on campus all semester. Light coats, t-shirts, you name it. And then as you can see, we still have those snow piles and snow on the mountains, but I think that's really cool to have while it's still sunny out. We had a slight breeze, but typical Colorado. It wasn't too overwhelming. Let's get right into it with tonight's lows. Over on the east side, as you can see, we have scattered 20s, with the exception of Lamar with the highest of 28. And as we look down the I25 corridor, we've got scattered 20s again, with the exception of Denver with the highest at 31. Now let's look over at the west side and towards the mountains. We've got scattered temps all around. Gunnison and Craig take the lowest at 12, and Grand Junction takes the highest at 31. For tomorrow's forecast, it will be a high of 65, sunny and dry, 6 mile per hour winds. The sunset will take place at 5:57 p.m. and the low will be 34. As for tomorrow's highs, if we look down the I-25 corridor, we've got scattered 60s with the exception of Pueblo with a high of 71. And over here at the west side towards the mountains, we've got scattered temps again, but Grand Junction takes the highest again with 64 degrees, and Gunnison and Vail also take the lowest again with 46 degrees. For the 5-day forecast, it's pretty warm. This is our week before spring break, and we get to enjoy it on campus. This whole weekend, it's mid to high 60s. So if you have projects or homeworks or studying to do, I would do it outside or take a break and go for a walk. And then on Monday, it cools down a little bit with a high of 59, but we'll see 60 again on Tuesday with a high of 61 and a low of 37. And now that the weather is warming up, it means that baseball season is upon us. Don't go away yet. James Hall will have you bring us an update to the baseball team and his weekend watch list.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here. I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
Howdy Rams, for the third straight year, the men's basketball team was unable to make it past the first round in the Mountain West Conference Tournament. I'm James Hull, and welcome to the one and only Thursday Wrap-Up. Kicking things off, we're going to go right into the play-by-play where Jake Hendricks is going to drain a three right there. Next is going to be Nico Carvacho underneath for a two-handed dunk, which that was uncontested. So is this three-point shot as he drains that one. Next is going to be Quaid Marble, who's going to get the steal. He's not even going to look over his shoulder. He's going to hang some authority on that rim. Next up is going to be the Kareem shot. Not quite enough for Adam Thistlewood, but Nico with a great play to put it back, and Isaiah Stevens with the reverse layup. The Rams were defeated 80-74 despite the hustle from Nico Carvacho and Isaiah Stevens. The senior finished his Mountain West career with yet another double-double, scoring 20 and coming down with 15 rebounds. As for the freshman, he came out playing like a seasoned veteran. Stevens finished the game with 22 points and 8 rebounds. While the men's team won't be playing until they find out about NIT, the women in the Mountain West have officially wrapped up the conference. The final game was played late last night and had to head into overtime as the number 2 Boise State Broncos took on number 1 Fresno State. Starting things off is going to be Haley Cavender, who gets a pick there to have an open three on the shot. And we saw what happens when she's open. Well, they're going to toss the rock around, find her open again, and she's going to drain that one. Ashanti Coleman, not looking to be outdone, holds the pose, knows it's going in, and now we're going to have a little ankle break by Hannah Cavender, who then lays up the reverse, and after going around the horn is going to be Jade Lavelle, who makes the first one kind of contested. So what's Fresno going to do? Well, they're going to put 2 in her face. Still not enough. That ball falls. The Broncos came out on top, beating the Bulldogs 80-76. Boise State was led by Brady Hodgins, who shot 4 for 7 behind the arc, putting up 20 points. Adding another 20 to the total was Jade Lavelle, who started the game on the bench but still played for over 20 minutes. Despite the loss, the Bulldogs were led by Haley and Hannah Cavender, the identical twins who had identical games. Both ladies finished the game tied for the team lead with 17 points and 7 rebounds. Looking towards the weekend watch list, we head to the Diamond. The softball team will be returning to their best friend as they open up home play this weekend in the Colorado State Classic, where they will take on Kennesaw State, who is 17-13, Purdue at 14-6, and Idaho State, who is the only team in the tournament with a losing record at 4-12. The 9-9 Rams will be looking to senior Jessica Jarecki to kickstart a winning streak here in Fort Collins. Jarecki has started the game in all 8 of her appearances and was the only one to throw from the circle in all but 1. Her 1.96 ERA and 50 innings pitched also shows that she commands the zone when her name is called. In fact, the most runs she was allowed in one game was against Wichita State, where she allowed 4 and 2.2 innings pitched, the only game that she didn't finish herself. The Rams will face Kennesaw State and Purdue twice, while only facing off against Idaho State one time for a 5-game stretch. From the circle to the mound, the CSU baseball team will also be starting a 5-game series to open their home season. After a rocky start to the season, 1-7, the Rams are going to lean on their right-handed captain, Daniel Taro. Taro hasn't had much of an opportunity to settle into himself yet this season with only 11 innings pitched, but after only 2 starts, his ERA is a bit higher than the Rams were hoping at 5.73, and his strikeout per walk ratio sits at a lowly 0.50. The Rams do have a solid matchup against the Williston State Tetons, who are 1-3 on the young season, giving Taro an opportunity to improve on his season numbers and help the Rams rush into a winning streak. Now, with the final minute that we have, it is time for Fact or Fiction. I still haven't been able to answer all 11 questions yet, but I'm keeping my hopes up for this time around. With that being said, start the timer. The Patriots dynasty is over. I am so glad this question is back. Fact, it's done. Tom Brady's not coming back. In fact, get rid of Belichick, let it all go. Next question. 2, Steph Curry will drop 30 plus in his return. I mean, it's Steph Curry. He shoots from the 3 all the time. He's a phenomenal long-range shooter. I say fact. Next question. The Dodgers are overhyped. Fact. They just signed Mookie Betts, which I'm going to go ahead and say is going to be the next Jacoby Ellsbury. He's a bust. Next. Washington is looking for a new quarterback. Fact. I mean, why not? Dwayne Haskins hasn't really done much to show that he deserves it, as well as the fact that there are plenty of quarterbacks to grab this draft. Next question. Broncos will take a first-round wide receiver. Fiction. They need a line. They need to protect Drew Lock, and that's what they should get with their first pick. Next. Adam Thistlewood isn't clutch. Not yet. He's hoping he can find it. Next question. CSU softball will win the Colorado State Classic. It's going to be a tough one with who they have to go up against, but I think there's a chance. Next question. Nico Medved is better than Steve Addazio. Well, that's the best I've ever gotten, so we're getting there. We're growing. But with that being said, that is all the time we have for this week. But make sure to tune in on Monday as we wrap up all the games from this weekend and turn in to kcsufm.com to listen to the baseball games. And as always, have a good night, Rams.